The Deion divorce drama has come to an end for now. This final day of testimony included bombshells and surprises, and it started with Deion wheeling a huge statue into court. It ended just about 2 hours ago with the Hall of Famer walking out with that statue and with his boys. Fox 4's Natalie Solis joining us now from the Collin County Courthouse with more on the judge's ruling, specifically, Natalie, regarding the children.
Yes. Well, first of all, both sides are claiming victory. Judge Wheelis found that there was no family violence from the April 23rd incident at the Sanders home. And he also found that the injuries that resulted were an accident. Now, both parties must stay away from each other, but he specifically said that Pilar Sanders must stay 500 yards away from the family's home. Deion Sanders leaving the Collin County Courthouse pleased, but Pilar feeling vindicated too.
God is good.
Judge Jay Wheelis gave Deion exclusive use of the family's sprawling, prosperous estate. He must continue to support his 3 kids who were ordered to receive counseling, and neither parent can leave with the children for longer than 2 weeks.
The judge did enter a protective order in order to keep the parties away from each other, and granted to Mr. Sanders the exclusive use and possession of his residence.
8 p.m., a full hour and a half after the hearing ends, Pilar's attorneys make their way down.
Today was a good day. Pilar was vindicated from false claims that were made against her. She's pleased with the outcome.
As Deion made his exit, he needed help with a large African statue admitted into evidence. Pilar testified he'd hit her with it April 23rd when she went to Deion's room looking for her youngest son, who she hadn't seen for 4 days. Deion refuted the claim. Both made audio recordings of the fight, which were played in court.
I think the court heard the testimony from the audio and will make whatever appropriate decisions it thinks it needs to make.
Late afternoon, Pilar takes the stand and testifies Deion was swinging at her and hitting her. Quote, "He was enraged. He grabs my throat, picks me up off the ground, and shoves me into the glass doors behind me." Pilar starts screaming and testifies Deion says, "You can scream all you want. Nobody can hear you back here." In Pilar's secret audio recording, you hear her tell Deion, "Shut up," expletive deleted. There's screaming and yelling, a large crash. Deion says, "Get out of my room, get out of my room." Pilar continues cursing, then calls Deion a punk and a little girl. She then says to her son, "That's what your daddy is." Deion denied Pilar's account, saying all he did was pin her arms to her side and carried her out of his bedroom. Quiet as he headed home, but probably not for long.
They follow me so you can see what kind of stuff I tweet out.
All right, well, the Sanders kids are split apart right now. The boys are with Deion, the girl is with Pilar, and there will be a hearing next week to discuss a more permanent solution. We are live in McKinney tonight. Natalie Solis, Fox 4 News.
And we're going to continue kind of this uncomfortable peek into these people's lives now with divorce attorney Abby Ewing, who's with David, Goodman, and Madole, back with us once again to talk about this. And I got to tell you, looking at that and seeing all this, I get so uncomfortable.
So do I.
It's just, we're peeking into a horrible part of these people's lives. But we're going to talk about it for the next few minutes. And both sides say, we won. Good day. What do you think?
I don't think that either of them won. I think that the result that came out in court today was at a great cost to both of them and their family. And so I guess, you know, if you're looking at the fact that the judge granted the relief that each of them requested, yes, they won technically, but I don't think that they won in the big picture. Well,
we have talked about this before, in both sides taking this to the court of public opinion, and I really got to say, boy, who's going to look at either one of these sides now and go, boy, I'm on your side. This is great example of good parenting and how to act in front of your children. And one of the things that Pilar did was bring this secret recording in where there's the name calling and the screaming, and I think perhaps she brought it in thinking it was going to help her.
Right.
It didn't really help her.
No. I think that at the end of the record, you know, as the recording goes on, she says some pretty awful things in front of her children, and it seems to be that she's almost antagonizing Deion Sanders, but I think it's interesting that they both had secret recordings.
Yeah, because who does that? Who just says, you know what, I'm going to go try to talk to my kids for a minute, I'm just going to hit the record button?
Most of us don't do that, no.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have to expect something's going to be happening when you're recording something, unless they just had a 24/7, each of them.
They're used to the reality show.
That's right.
So it's always recording. Okay, talk about the drama of the whole thing, really. And I know folks at home couldn't hear you go, oh my gosh, but when you saw Deion push this statue in, it's just like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, first of all, I thought it would be a statue of him. So I was surprised to see that it wasn't him.
That's on the other side of the house.
Right. But then I couldn't believe the size of the statue, and I guess that was the point, to show that he couldn't have wielded it. But couldn't he have taken a picture of the statue?
Bringing the weight and and really him doing it. I mean,
right.
You know, he's got a million people who work for him who could do it. He doesn't need to.
It was a very dramatic moment.
And it seemed to work. And, you know, that gag order is lifted now as well. And so you heard him getting into the SUV there at the end saying, you know, if you want to hear about it, follow me. You know, gets more Twitter followers when he can send out these tweets to, I guess, say his opinion on what's going on.
Right. I mean, I'm assuming the judge just put his hands up and decided, why bother?
Yeah.
These parties are not going to follow this gag order, so why even bother? Or maybe that both sides agreed that they didn't want it.
Yeah.
And the judge went ahead and got rid of it.
So we can keep finding out all the details of what happened inside that estate. Okay, so the next phase of this then is the custody part. We've got Mother's Day coming up this weekend. I'm sure that Pilar's going to want to be with her children. What's going to happen between now and then?
Well, if I was Deion's lawyer, I would advise him to make sure that the boys saw their mom on Mother's Day. Yeah. And you would hope that in this window that they could maybe try to co-parent and maybe try to show the judge that they're able to communicate, you know, through lawyers or whatnot. They can't be around each other, but just that they have their children's, you know, best interest at heart.
So at what point, I guess, does the court-ordered counseling, family counseling, come into this? Because we have seen what these kids have already been through, the name-calling. We've just gotten a small peek at this. And you can imagine it's gone on for quite a while. Does that ever come into play? Will the judge ever say, listen, y'all need to step in and get some counseling?
Some judges will do that. But at the end of the day, the important thing to remember is it's hard to make somebody change. They have to kind of want to go to counseling. You can order someone to go to counseling. If they don't want to be there, it might not be that effective. I had thought that they should just be required to watch War of the Roses again and again, and then...
Yes, settle it out a different way. All right, Abby Ewing, I'm sure that we're going to have you in again to talk about this more, and of course we're going to continue to follow it on Good Day tomorrow morning.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.